All right, come join Kyle, John, and David as they go through what's on the playlist. Find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest. In and out points, no celebs and the gossip. Back in time where we're talking about the big M's, coming attractions, what the cue. Quick checks, who'll be laughing? You abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television, entertainment news with too many else with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and a third one is
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I am Ripley to John's the talented Mr. Ripley to Dave's Ripley's Believe It or Not. That's what you are, buddy.
I'm not believing it. I'm not believing it.
Yeah.
We're three very tricky individuals. I'm surprised I'm not Dickie Greenleaf or one of the other aliases that Tom Ripley goes by in Ripley. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's a little bit of an old show, but we're catching up on things from the spring and summer here. We got, let's see, The Boys just recently concluded season 4. The Bear concluded season 3. We got some movies to talk about. Video games, a lot to get to tonight. We have this first segment, and I don't know what it is. John, what is it?
In and Out Points.
In, order out.
In, order out. In, out.
Yes, it is in and out points. We're going to start off talking about Marvel because they had a big weekend. Not only did Deadpool and Wolverine deliver over $200 million domestically for an opening weekend, which is the highest for 2024, and also for any R-rated film ever, but we also have a few announcements from Comic-Con. First, Kevin Feige announced that we will have 2 Avengers films coming in May 2026 and May 2027. And both of them will have the Russo brothers returning to direct. The latter film is subtitled Secret Wars, but the first, which was initially Avengers The Kang Dynasty, has now been retooled and renamed as Doomsday. Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. We got 2 big things. But the question is, who is playing the titular Doom? Dr. Doom here. We got to figure, we got this date, May 20th, 2026. It's coming up. Who could they get to play Dr. Doom? And they announced that they have that person at Comic-Con. A hooded and masked man came up, and the room erupted when they saw it was Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr. All right, we're going to break this down. We are not Marvel. We are not comic book experts. We're going to start that off right there. There's probably some dark, way back when lore of one episode in this thing. We don't know.
Well, send all your complaints to David personally,
No,
please.
do not. It says I'm at Eastwood McFly. I'm actually at Euromatic. They're all mixed up this week, so just keep that in mind. No, we're going to figure this thing out here. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to Marvel after playing Iron Man, after, snapping his fingers and ending Endgame. What do you think about this news, Kyle? Start me off. This casting choice.
Is it at all related to the Iron Man character?
Maybe.
I know that. I mean, here's my thing is if it's not, because I don't know anything about but if it's not, if I'm him, why would I come back? It feels like a thankless
you're going
thing.
Back to
it can
high
only
school
it's
to get back
only
the
gonna
cool,
ruin
good times.
Yeah, it's only gonna ruin my legacy or ruin this great thing that I had with fans who think I'm one of the best Marvel characters or the actors to create come out of the Marvel characters. So yeah, it's a confusing one for me. Maybe he just likes the payday.
He doesn't. Yeah.
But I'm going to be interested to see how they work this out. But to me, it's just weird if you start getting all the same actors to now play like
It's a
hot
repertory
potato or
theater,
musical
yeah.
chairs with the characters. It's just like even furthers this like why am I investing in this world? I don't know. It's just so silly to me.
It's not like there's a shortage of talent anywhere in the world.
I
That
know.
nobody
I
else
know.
can play this person. You know, like what?
Mhm.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't ask us. Like the Russo brothers make sense to come back. I mean, they haven't found much actual success outside of Marvel since Endgame. If you
Yeah.
look at their projects, movies, TV, they
Mhm.
haven't been really hitting the success that the Avengers films did. But Robert Downey Jr. is such a strange one because I saw this one report that from all of his Iron Man appearances, he's earned like some crazy amount, percentages and back end and all these things where it's like over 450 million dollars from just Iron Man alone playing him in films.
Mhm.
So does he really need more money? Like you don't need it. So it's just like why do you need this? Because in the Oppenheimer press tour that we got for like the last year, he kept saying how he was like shackled by Marvel. He needs to be an actor again. He needs to
Mhm.
spread his wings. He needs to, and, it's like, okay, he did that. And awarded him an Oscar. And then he's like, psych, I'm going back. It's
Yeah.
like, I like this adulation. Like he milked it when he was on stage there. He ripped that
Mhm.
mask off and he milked it. And he maybe just he likes that kind of adrenaline of people just cheering for him. And that's you can't put a price tag on that. And
Can't do any
So
better than an Oscar, so he's back. Like, what's
yeah,
what's the deal?
I
but
kn-
yeah. And
it,
he's
it
he's in he got an Emmy nom for the Park Chan-wook series. I'm forgetting the name, The Sympathizer. I think he's
mhm.
like on Broadway, or maybe he has some kind of Tony something or other that he might be eligible for. So it's like, yeah, he's collecting all the rings like it's the Infinity Gauntlet here, but like I guess he needs.
He wants to go back to where he was a star, the main star. But
Yeah.
it's further strengthens the idea that he is just the Iron Man character, the guy who, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, the character in Iron
Yeah.
Man. If he likes that adulation as much
Yeah.
and everything like that. But yeah, I don't understand why you come back to this world, especially like you said, he was saying things like I want to be like an actor again and all this stuff. So it's just so
Yeah.
silly. But
And
again, like the world. What is this? It's
yeah.
like, how
So
do you
Yeah.
reconcile this as a
so
fan? I just don't.
there's a couple of things. I mean, so Doctor Doom, I guess, wears a mask. So maybe it's mostly voice work. So he's gonna probably get paid a crap ton of money
Even
and
more
be in the voice
reason,
voice booth. He doesn't even have to. It's like the Mandalorian. He doesn't even have to be there.
yeah, even more reason to go with what John said. If it's behind a mask, then get
Yeah,
somebody else who can,
yeah.
you
The
know?
only caveat is I went down the internet wormhole here. It could be something with the multiverse of it all, because in
Okay.
some comic book storyline, something or other, there's a Doom Iron Man connection where it was an evil Tony Stark variant that is Doctor Doom in that. So maybe they're going with that storyline
Okay.
with that. But it's just okay, like go ahead. Like I don't know. It's just yeah, it
But
just seems like there's so much other talent out there
yeah.
to go this way. It seems very mixed. I'm seeing like online there's a lot of people that think this is, some people are excited and some people are like, "Huh, really?"
But
Like yeah.
I
Who else? I
mean,
mean, there was this great thing at when they were like announcing it and like there the build up to it. You like people are like, oh, who is it? And you could hear like silence before it was announced at Comic-Con, and you hear one person in every single audio clip go like, Jared Leto, and then he reveals the mask and it's not, and everyone goes crazy. But it's just like, but they were like, well, yeah, we had to get the greatest actor to do this role, and somebody's like, Jared Leto? No, but
I
no.
mean, this is more of a thing of like, I feel like with the Marvel universe, them not waving a white flag, but understanding that the popularity has been down
Yeah,
for several projects, and we may need to go back to the well to kind of boost popularity
yeah.
again, because they've been
Yeah.
struggling with some
And
of
an
their,
emergency, break glass and they,
yeah,
okay, Russo brothers,
yeah.
Robert Downey Jr., like let's just,
But
but
can you remake magic? Like, I think the whole thing about the Marvel universe toward the most recent installments is like you're getting used to the formula, what it looks like, how these films, there's a formula, a way that they're done, and I think that starts to feel stale after a while. Hopefully they can do something new with it, but I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of stale, and maybe an actor can't say no to a paycheck. Back in June, when we discussed the Dexter prequel series, Original Sin, I said how they should get Michael C. Hall to be the narrator of the show, as like a Jim Parsons and Young Sheldon type situation. Well, Comic-Con confirmed he's going to be involved in Original Sin as like the voice, the narrator of Dexter there in this prequel series. But wait, that's not all. Michael C. Hall will also return to star in a present-day Dexter series called Dexter Resurrection. Now, Original Sin takes place in 1991. That's slated to premiere, sometime maybe like later this year, December. While Resurrection will be sometime next year. So we're getting double Dexter now. You thought Dexter was over, and then it came back, and you thought it was over. But then it's back, and it's back again. John, are you excited?
It was over after season 4. I mean, let's be honest.
It was.
No, I'm not, and I'll tell you why. I don't even remember if I finished the most recent True Blood, whatever it was.
No, New Blood, yeah.
New Blood, right? I don't even remember if I finished it. Like, I watched almost all of it. I know that. I don't remember if I finished it. And if I can't remember if I finished your show, it's not hitting. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I hate even though I know they're trying to be more like the earlier seasons of Dexter, I don't think it's doing well for me. I'll give it a shot. I'm not. The ship's like it hasn't sailed yet, but it's the gangplank's starting to be removed. Like I don't know how much more I'm willing to sit here.
The garbage bags are being thrown into the ocean here. I guess at this point, I don't know.
The Original Sin, I'm not looking forward to. Like I said, I'll give it a shot. I'm not looking forward to that. The Resurrection, maybe again. It's one of those things where it's like we were talking about quitting while you're ahead with some of the earlier. It's like Michael Jordan came back and wasn't as good, or whatever. Like it doesn't work a lot of the time, and I feel like. Yeah, I'm sure that he needs the cash. I mean, he's been through a lot since they filmed Dexter and all that, but there's no other projects that are worth your time, worth your money.
I mean,
I
think he was a theater guy too. I mean, he also did, obviously 6 Feet Under. Like, he's a very talented actor.
That other one with the gated community where there was what was it, a murder or something? I forget what it was. He did something that we watched like 2 or 3 years ago as well. So he's doing stuff, but I don't know. Is Showtime lacking cash too? Like,
they definitely are. They definitely.
We're.
I don't even know if Showtime will be on it.
Showtime Resurrection. That's what this is gonna have to be, pretty much.
Showtime, like, is being propped up only by Dexter. I mean, on the bright side, at least with this series versus Original Sin, it's like Dexter is Michael C. Hall, and he's in this. Like, it's like, okay, perfect. Like, you got the two together. You mentioned, John, that you didn't finish New Blood, and I'm going to spoil New Blood for anyone who hasn't finished it, maybe like you. But the question I have with Resurrection is, how is this even possible?
Yeah.
After the ending of New Blood, because Dexter's dead. Like not just seemingly dead. We saw him bleeding out in the freezing cold, but like, no, like at the time, creator and showrunner Clyde Phillips confirmed and said straight up, Dexter is dead. Like that was the quote.
Resurrection, baby.
Yeah.
This all takes place 5 minutes before he died. That's the whole season.
Yeah.
Just gonna squeeze it in there.
Your mother of it all. But like, and then Variety asked during Comic-Con, asked Michael C. Hall, how is he back after it's been confirmed? And he said, quote, was it? I don't know what I'm authorized to say other than
yes,
it's really cold out there. Which also is like, that doesn't make any sense, because if it's really cold, you think maybe you're freezing to death. Like,
no, not freezing to death, frozen in time, and then he comes back. Yes, he
cryogenically frozen. The Austin Powers action.
Exactly.
Okay. I just know like initially the plan was like for a Harrison spinoff, but everyone hated Harrison, specifically New Blood, so much.
Yeah.
So it's like, so wait, is he back? Like, is Dexter back, or is he a ghost for Harrison?
Mm.
But it is called Resurrection, so maybe Dexter is alive. It's just like,
Is this gonna be like one of those the '90s show thing where he's in the first episode and then he's not in the rest of the,
Oh.
like one of those
Yeah,
things?
yeah.
I hope not. You got Dexter in the title. It better be Dexter.
Maybe his ghost is going to take over Harrison's body, and
Mm.
they'll do like the ADR to make it sound like Dexter's talking, but it's really the kid.
I mean,
Like,
we joked, but like Dexter, the Original Sin should be Dexter, Michael C. Hall in that wig from this Dexter series. Like, who cares?
make
Yeah.
that a mini series, like five,
Yeah.
6 episodes, and then use that to launch this. I
Use
don't
some AI, de-age him. Who I don't even age him up. It doesn't matter. Like, but they did release like the opening credits for Original Sin, and it's pretty much like reshot like additional material from like the original. So they're almost doing like the
What?
Game of Thrones House of the Dragon type thing. Remember season 1 where it's like the same theme song?
Mhm.
And like this, it's like it's you got the mosquito and like young Dexter getting ready for his day and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So a
Hmm.
little bit of a remix, but
I thought that was a good intro, but I don't know if I want to
a
see it
redub.
again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No?
It was funny the one time that he was having a bad day where they
Yeah.
filmed like the bad version of him getting awake. That was a good start, but like a whole new show worth.
They should at least done it for New Blood because New Blood didn't even have an intro
Mhm.
sequence, and like you're in a different setting. You get the the with the snow boots. You could have had a whole thing, but like
Yeah, him chopping some wood,
Yeah.
doing all that stuff. That would have been nice, but
oh well. I guess we'll wait and see with Dexter Resurrection. I mean, we went from Miami to upstate New York, so like, where's the next one going to be? I don't know.
Mm.
Well, let's talk about one last thing here. Nothing to do with Comic-Con. We're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about the NBA because they have reached an agreement with Disney, Comcast's NBC Universal, and Amazon on 3 different packages of games, ending its nearly 40-year relationship with Warner Brothers Discovery's Turner Sports. This deal with those 3 companies, this 11-year deal, is worth nearly $77 billion. And while, of course, Disney, NBC, and Amazon are quite happy with this deal, Warner Brothers Discovery is not. Warner Brothers Discovery had the right to match an offer as part of their contract, and while they claimed to have done so, matching the $1.8 billion per year that Amazon offered, the NBA instead still went with Amazon, forcing Warner Brothers Discovery into a lawsuit. And I got some statements here. I'll read them and then we can get some thoughts about this whole thing. TNT Sports said, given the NBA's unjustified rejection of our matching of a third-party offer, we have taken legal action to enforce our rights. We strongly believe this is not just our contractual right, but also in the best interest of fans who want to keep watching our industry-leading NBA content with the choice and flexibility we offer them through our widely distributed WBD video-first distribution platforms, including TNT and Max. TBS properly matched the Amazon offer by agreeing to telecast the games on both TNT and Max. The Amazon offer provides for cable rights, including TNT rights, because the offer is for games that TBS currently has the rights to distribute on TNT via non-broadcast television, which includes both cable and internet. So pretty much, it's like, hey, we got internet, we got cable, we're offering it here, and
Yeah. I mean, is there more to that?
well, I got the NBA's response. They didn't see it
Okay.
as a match. Throughout these negotiations, our primary objective has been to maximize the reach and accessibility of our games for our fans. Our new agreement with Amazon supports this goal by complementing the broadcast, cable, and streaming packages that are already a part of our new Disney and NBC Universal arrangements. All 3 partners have committed substantial resources to promote the league and enhance the fan experience. So they're saying it's like, we got Disney, we got NBC, like Universal. We have all these other companies that are going to put these games everywhere.
But also, I mean, the whole thing is like that statement's all well and good by Warner Brothers Discovery, but you had the CEO of the company go, "We don't need basketball. We don't need the NBA. So if you're the NBA, you're probably thinking, okay, they don't care. We'll go to this other one.
They're not gonna put the
And-
time and resources into it.
yeah. So if you don't need us, clearly we'll take our, our little league and we'll go elsewhere. Because it's nice to hear all those things, but it would be like, well, where was that, when we first started these negotiations, or how come you didn't let us know that, this inside the NBA, this program that's highly touted and they've been there forever. How come you haven't been saying that from the start? So even it's so silly that Warner Brothers Discovery has to sue to be like, they must choose us. It's such a weird thing. We're suing you to get back onto our thing. That seems like the most healthy relationship.
Yeah, I was gonna say to
ever.
sue a business partner, one that you were still working with because you
Yeah.
still have games to show with them.
Yeah.
Because like after it, it's like, after you sue, and it's like, let's say they win, it's like, oh, like now we're friends again. And they're like,
Yeah.
screw this, we just spent millions of dollars
Yeah.
in legal fees over this. Like,
Yeah.
no, and you bring up
So-
the point with like Zaslav, like you're saying,
Mhm.
oh, we don't need the NBA. He also said something else because they've been saying, maybe they don't want to be a part of this sinking ship because just a week or so ago, there was talks that recently merged Warner Brothers Discovery may split its linear networks from its studios and streaming to help its stock price.
Mhm.
Just a week or so ago, they pretty much said, yeah, we might, separate streaming and linear. Hello, you said you need both with this deal. Like you said, yeah, we have linear and streaming. But like literally a week ago, you said we might not do that. Like,
Yeah. What a mess. Yeah, they're a mess. And I mean, the NBA is probably like, hey, we already had this deal with Amazon. We've got these other streaming sites or networks that are willing to work with us. So why bother at this point?
Yeah.
It's like we've got a better option over here. Because Amazon has also, the NFL, it has MLB now, it has a bunch of other live program, so it has a proven track record at this point. So, yeah, I think Warner Brothers Discovery really messed this up, man.
Yeah, I would have to double check. I'm pretty sure like Amazon, I mean, obviously you can buy the Amazon monthly package and get Amazon Prime, which is pretty, expensive, but you can also just get Amazon Prime Video if you just want that. And I believe that is cheaper than Max. Definitely cheaper than your cable subscription. So I don't know if Warner Brothers Discovery really has too much of a case here. It's like we're offering all this stuff. You're saying you or maybe splitting it, and who knows, maybe not even be around for this 11-year deal or whatever it is. We're going to go with what's proven, and it reaches more customers and is cheaper for them. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a mess. What a mess. All right. We have so much to talk about that we're going to just kind of jump around, jump in and out of certain shows, movies, video games. And that segment is Quick Checks.
Quick check.
All right, here. So we're going to go around maybe once or twice here with what we've been watching, catching up on this past summer. We're going to start off with The Bear. That's my pick here. What I've been watching. June 26th, all 10 episodes dropped on Hulu. And I was going to come on here and, explain the season, where we left off, who's this there. Was this even really a season? What actually happened this season? I like The Bear. I like this show. I was really disappointed with season 3. I'll say a pro for them. They are consistently on every year in the summer. Unlike Severance, it takes, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is to get on. House of the Dragon, number of years. The Bear, every summer, it's on. Good for them. But man, I waited to see what happened for, Takami after being locked in the freezer at end of season 2. Where are we going to go in season 3? And, we got a premiere that was very stylized, Carmi's state of mind. I'm fine with that. It's a fine way to start a season, especially with a binge release. So that means like, okay,
Yeah,
maybe
it
that
gets you
wasn't for
prepped.
me. I got the next one to get right back to business, right back to the restaurant. What's going on? But man, a lot of that season, or a lot of this season felt like that episode. And it
Mm,
just felt very disjointed. They had two other very stylized episodes. And a bottle episode is not the correct term, but these like standalones where, you know, they tried, I think, to capture the lightning in the bottle that was Forks from last season with Evan
mm,
Ross Bacharach's character and Honeydew, the one set in Copenhagen. They tried to like do that again. And
mm,
they did that with the episode focusing with Lisa called Napkins. You have the one with Natalie and her pregnancy and the birth and ice chips. But they weren't, I feel like, as successful as those episodes. Maybe it was the character choices. I'm not sure, but it's just like I think they were trying so hard to capture what made season two great. You had so many like guest stars, you hit obviously season two with Fishes, so many at that dinner table. And this season with some of the guest stars, it's like they pulled me out. The John Cena,
Yep.
mm,
he doesn't fit into this world at all.
Yep.
mm,
He's not a brother or cousin or whatever, and that makes no sense. That's John
mm.
Cena. I can't unsee John Cena. It's like those are just pulling me out this season versus, in prior seasons where it felt more
Mm.
natural. And I don't know. It's like all season, it's like Sydney, like unsure of this decision. Is she gonna sign? Is she not gonna sign? Is she gonna be a partner? Did we even get an answer
No,
after
we
10
did not get an
episodes?
answer.
No.
No.
All season, we're worried about this review, and we're getting these flashes in his head. Oh, is it good? Is it bad? Is it good? Is it bad? And all season, we're worried about it. And like we get, I think at the very last second of this episode, it comes in, and it was so many flashes that it seems maybe I missed. It seemed mixed. Like it
Yeah.
just seemed like
Yeah.
it's really good, but it's also inconsistent. But he's a genius, but also a little crazy. It's
Yeah.
like
Yep.
so what like it just felt very like oh like we finished the season. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to start. It's like, oh, I gotta wait now a year for next 10. And I
Mm.
think the creator has said like he's had a 3-season plan, but then it became 4 seasons. And probably the success of the show, Hulu, Disney, whatever, was like, we got like, let's keep this going a little bit here. And Evan
Mm.
Moss Backrack said, yeah, we shot season 3, season 4 back to back. So they're probably already shot, at least most of it. And I feel like we just had these 3 seasons and we took this third season and we just stretched it into 2 seasons. And it's like that's why it feels disjointed. It feels like nothing really happened. And it's just like just tell the story that you want to tell. Like I'm sure if like the creator, especially with the cast, like, hey, this is it. This is all we got. Do you want this show to suffer and not have the quality and have that bad taste and be a Dexter or something like that? Or do you want to
Mm.
go on a high note and be like, man, these 3 seasons are the best 3 seasons? I'm
Yeah.
sure they would have said, yeah, 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You see, like it with some of the chatter online. I really I think it'll still do well at the Emmys, but I don't think it's gonna have like this inverse issue we talked about in our last episode, where season 2 is the one up for Emmys in September,
Mm.
and when season 1 won all those Emmys last year, it was helped because season 2 just was aired, so it's like, ooh, this is really good. Season 2 is good. Let's vote for the bear, 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 bear. This time season 2 is up for Emmys, and that deserves a lot of Emmys. But season 3 is what's in people's minds. It's like, oh yeah, wasn't that good this season? And so it's like this weird timeline of things. So
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. And I know I went on a big rant on that, and I think you guys were hearing you agree a few different points here. But anything else that I missed, Kyle? You agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you said. It was a huge tonal shift. The first 2 seasons were much more fast paced and we're in the kitchen and we're, feeling the things that the chefs are feeling. And now this was like, we're slowing it down. And we're really not, we're spinning our wheels when we slow it down because we're not even using it to build anything with the characters because Carm and the girl he was dating, they should have had some discussion at some point. Nothing resolves
Yeah.
there. Nothing resolves with Ao's character there. So it was kind of very frustrating, and I thought the season finale was was pretty bad considering we're at this fine restaurant that's closing for a colleague of Carm's, and we have Evan Moss Backrack, who was there a week,
Yeah.
would be nothing in the whole arc of this restaurant being open, and it's just like we're just shoehorning all these things in. It's still popular based on the celebrities that are want to be a part of the show, you know. So I think it might still do well at the Emmys, but yeah, it was a real missed opportunity this season because, like you said, a whole lot of nothing. It's cool to be in that world, but that can't be the only thing that we're there for. We need some storylines here.
Definitely. I saw John, I think you just recently like binged this thing.
Yeah, I watched it over the weekend.
Yeah, what did you think?
I agree. It definitely doesn't feel like it did in season 2, and what made those couple episodes special in season 2 was all the other episodes where you were flying. You know, there was all this drama. It was not that they kept it light, but it kept moving. You know, you're on your edge of your seat, and then you had 1 or 2 episodes that was just like, oh, wait a second, you know, clear everything off. We're doing something different.
Yeah.
And you can't just make a whole season worth of something different like that. It just doesn't work.
The
that way.
Atlanta season 3 of it all, maybe a little bit of that. Yeah.
But so I didn't think it was bad, but it wasn't the Bear.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Yeah.
just kind of like these would have been, again. I don't want to say web series, but these would have been a cool, like, oh, you know, here's a special episode about you know, the past of this person, or here's a special episode about blah blah blah. And that's like not part of the season. It's just like, oh, a little background, you know, something cool for the fans. It felt like misplaced as a whole season. And I think if they had kind of sprinkled in probably what is more of season 4 and distributed that and mixed all the seasons around between 3 and 4, it probably would have hit a little bit better. I mean, the only thing that really happened in this season was the pregnancy and the birth. Like everything else feels like it was just past stuff that they're saying, oh, hey, here's some background on this character. Like, again, it wasn't bad, but it didn't match what I would expect of pacing and showmanship from the Bear.
I agree. Sounds like a mixed review. Add that to your list, Carmi. Oh boy. All right, Kyle, what do you got for a show to talk about?
So I believe I'm going to be talking about Ripley right now. I recently tuned into this. I binged it quite quickly. I was initially not going to watch this because it seemed like too heavy, too dark. Didn't know if I could really get into it. But once you got to know the characters and everything, it was very head first, who done it, edge of your seat, trying to figure out how this guy Ripley is basically pulling off these aliases and, you know, ripping people off, and he's just shisty, shady dude. And throughout the show, you can sense it from all the other characters that are around him, and yet he still seems to be getting away with stuff. So this show was very well done. The production design was phenomenal. We're in Italy. It makes you want to be there. The acting is great. Andrew Scott plays Ripley great. And just the cinematography, just some of the shots are phenomenal. And even the editing and what they do with the sound, because there's one time I was watching, they're creating tension of him coming out of the train station, and it's like, really, if you look at the images, nothing is happening here, but they're building so much suspense just in the editing and the sound. It's just overall very, very well done. And I will say, if you're kind of cringy or like prone to anxiety, this might be anxiety inducing because it's like, how is this guy getting away with all of this? And I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but I really, really needed something bad to happen to this guy. And the fact that it didn't is just crushes me, man. The fact that he he got away with it all is just a little frustrating. So
at least seemingly, yeah.
But I will say they did pull off the ending with because I needed the cops or somebody to know that they messed up, or just look at the photo. Like the whole thing was like, you just
You
need
can't
to
do this
see
in
the
like
photo.
2020 or
I
even the
know.
2000s. Like this
You
is
just
set in a
needed to look at
specific
the
time
photos.
period for
Yeah.
a reason.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I was initially worried about, like the black and white of it all is going to be artsy and like too slow and this and that. But then I was in Italy and we are being toured around along the Amalfi Coast, and somebody's like, our tour guy was like, oh, they just shot a Netflix series Ripley in this town. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And like, so when we got back from Italy, like, oh, let's check it out. Maybe we'll recognize
Mhm.
some stuff. And yeah, I fell immediately like into the show. It's tense, it's beautiful, it's thrilling. There's a different tone of it from the movie because it's like definitely darker and more like
Mhm.
noir than the film was. Maybe not like goofy, but like a little more lighter. I feel like, it's Catch Me If You Can, kind of like
Mhm.
we're getting away with it kind of thing. But there's also some changes from the movie that kept me guessing as well. Andrew Scott is so good. So good. I'm really hoping he can win an Emmy.
Yeah.
He's up in the Baby Reindeer category in the limited series, but hopefully they could spread that out, maybe give writing to Richard Gadd. Andrew Scott can win for Ripley. And then
Mhm.
some of the other nominations, definitely, as you said, production design, cinematography definitely should win. It felt like of a time period. Like it really felt
Mhm.
like real livable spaces.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would definitely recommend it. It sounds like Kyle definitely does too.
Yeah. Yeah. Highly recommend it.
Cool. And that's on Netflix. John, what do you got?
I got the next season of The Boys. So this came out, I guess June 13th. It says it right there
Yep.
on the screen, and it was your typical, I think, 8 seasons of
Eighth
a arc
episode,
here.
yeah.
Episodes, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a phone call. I'm like distracted.
It's
by it.
all good. It's all good.
So I've been seeing a lot of people saying that they didn't enjoy this season. However, I enjoyed this season. I wouldn't say that it was their best season so far. I think the same thing that was happening to the Bear is they're kind of pulling that taffy a little bit, trying to make it an extra season, unfortunately. But I feel like we did get a little progression. We were able to dive into some of the the boys' characters' backgrounds a little bit and kind of check in on what's going on their lives. It wasn't nearly as crazy as the Bear did it, but they were doing it in this season, and I didn't mind that. It's nice to give the characters a little bit more life. We ended with a little bit of a surprise. If you watched Gen V, there's some characters from there that came over and uh, um, ended the season on an interesting note. But yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I like the show, so I'm glad that it's not over. But yeah, you can definitely tell that it's not as concise as they probably could have made it. I think they're additionally working on a prequel now, or they announced the prequel.
We'll get to that. I got
We'll
some
get to
thoughts on
that,
that.
yeah. So there's a little spoiler for one of our discussions in the future, but yeah, I don't know if you like the last couple of seasons. I would not hesitate to watch this. If you like Gen V, I wouldn't hesitate to watch this. I don't want to discuss too much of what went on. Very, very much tapping into what's going on current day in the political world, for better or for worse. Some of it you can tell is parody, and some of it you could tell is just like they're kind of just straight ripping what's going on right now as commentary, if you will. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can parallel with what's going on today, and
So that's the stuff that really didn't like it was, and we talked about it when we talked about the premiere, but I feel like we even got more of it in these last few episodes.
yeah.
It was like too on the nose where it's like you cross the line where it isn't like satire anymore. You're just like just redoing it. And it's like the final season of
yeah.
Veep. And that was the issue they had because it's like, how do you make fun of the wild world that we're in? But it's like you were doing it so well until now. And now it's just like it's just all right, we get it. Like he's Trump. Like, oh, you're mentioning Jewish space lasers, the January 6th attack, and you end with "Make America Super Again." It's like, all right, like
Yeah.
you're hitting us
Yeah.
over the head. We get it. Like,
Yeah.
but it's also just funny to me that like the show, and you mentioned it, John, is how it's become like what it mocked for so long with like the cinematic universe of it all and like the
Mm.
cash grab sequels and prequels and you got to have the this and then that and then this spin-off and it's like you got Gen
Yeah.
V, you got The Boys Mexico, and it was announced as you said they're getting a prequel series with Soldier Boy and Stormfront. So it's just like this thing is it's just going to be expanded because it's so
Yeah.
successful.
I mean, yes, I get that they're becoming what they are making fun of, but at the same time, like, it's kind of almost commentary on themselves too. You know what I mean? Like, you could wrap it up in a different way, but yeah, I don't know. If those things are at the same production level as this and the same vibe, I'm okay with that. I mean, we got Gen V, and I really enjoyed that, even though I went into it being like, do we need this? And then I came out being like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, again, if it makes sense for the world and they're doing it right, I'm into giving it a shot,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
But,
And I mean, yeah, this season was some dark stuff still. I mean, the
Yeah.
stuff with
oh, yeah.
we previewed it when we saw the end of season 3 with what Homelander did in the crowd, and it's like, oh, where do you go from there with he can do whatever he wants? And we see a little bit of it. Like the
Yep.
whole scene in the cellar lab was so tense, and it was just, God, where is this going? How can
Mhm.
it possibly get worse? And it does.
Yep.
And his whole, plan this season to like overtake the president. Initially, it involved the VP, but once she's dead, it looks like, well, it's it. That's over for Homelander. Well, it's like, well, actually, we got the president on tape talking about killing her for a different reason, a legitimate reason, but he's arrested. And
Yeah.
so it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Homelander does win. And I guess that is the one thing that as much as they are so close to how America is now, present day USA, it's like they didn't get that memo. I mean, presidents have absolute immunity and can do whatever the hell they want
Mhm.
under presidential power. So I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
in that, our world is like, oh boy. But yeah, so it's gonna be really interesting to see, the next season is the final season of The Boys. I'm assuming, yeah, it's gonna be them really trying to finally take down Homelander. There's maybe a hint of it where maybe it's like maybe it's gonna be Homelander's son. Like they're kind of like, oh, we need you to do this.
Mhm.
Um,
And,
maybe that's part of it. Do you have any other ideas, John? What,
I'm just thinking that as much as this, again, this season felt like a little bit of a slower season and maybe a little bit of a dip from the norm, the last episode, the very end, they kind of hit the accelerator hard, it feels like. So I'm hoping that we get another season where it's just jam packed and there's no, not that I really liked some of the side stuff they did, but I wanted them to laser focus on the finale. You know what I mean? Like I want everything to be building towards that instead of kind of like a mishmash of all the stuff that we did this season. Again, like I said, I enjoyed it, but you can tell that it's 3 seasons pushed into 4. So I think they need to sit down and focus and really, every week needs to be a little progression. Whereas if you think about what changed between last season and this season, there's only a few minor details, that of things that changed. So I would like to see a little bit more
Yeah. You're waiting for
focus on
its-
the main story.
At some point, I mean, the amount of times that the boys and Huey and all them can get away with what they do, it's just like it's kind of like the thing in all movies, all like villain movies, where it's like the villain has you, gun to your head, and it's like, I'll let you go, I'll get you later, and then it's like, just do it
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
like and that's where it is with. I feel like at the end, it's like Homelander should have just came down, lasered their heads off, and it's like, all right,
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about the boys
Yeah,
anymore.
pretty
Like,
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like The Boys has a problem with like they've got so many characters
yeah.
at the moment that it's like some of the storylines, I'm like, I don't really care about this. Can we move it along and get to the more interesting stuff, especially when these episodes are plus an hour,
Yeah. One thing I will say I was disappointed with this season. I've been hyping it up for a while. I was really excited to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan
Yeah.
join the show. Just
Good.
disappointed that it was, I mean,
It was a
little-
good twist, but
yes.
but that was pretty much the only use for
Yeah.
for
I
that.
wanted him interacting with folks. I
Yeah.
wanted him talking with Homelander, talking with Huey. Like I wanted him being JDM doing his thing. And it's like
Yeah.
instead it was just the two of them. But oh well. Oh well. Maybe he'll be in a prequel. We can hope for that. All right, let's go around the circle again here. We did TV. Let's talk about movies. I'm gonna talk about Twisters. It's the number two movie right now. And it's came out July 19th. It's the standalone sequel-ish to Twister from 1996. It really has nothing to do with it, but it's like the same movie. It's kind of
Mm.
confusing. Like you don't need to have seen Twister to understand this movie. It's a fun summer blockbuster. It's exactly what you think it is. It's not reinventing cinema, but I had a lot of fun watching it. It's a disaster movie that's kind of like a rom-com in disguise. Um, got Daisy Edgar Jones, got the Tornado Wrangler, Glenn Powell. You got it's the two of them, these
Mm.
unlikely folks coming together. Uh, I know, Kyle, I'll have to ask you right now. The internet's really mad that they shot a kiss scene at the airport
Oh, geez. Yeah. How
and
dare
they
they not
cut it
show it?
out. They
Yeah.
cut
How
it
dare they
out.
not show it?
But I don't know. Like the first movie, you got some science, but you also have some mumbo jumbo. Like I think it could have used a little more goofiness. I needed you know, it's like that's even saying when this film has a truck that launches fireworks into tornadoes. You have a guy yelling about twins when he sees two tornadoes. You have a Paul Shear cameo. Like it already is
I
goofy,
know.
but
Yeah.
I had a little more 1996 goofiness. Um, but the film is, it has some serious stuff. It's not afraid to kill some people off. Really thought, this is in the first 5 minutes of the film, so it's not really that big of a spoiler, but like really thought at least the boyfriend of the group would have survived the initial F5 there, but nope. All of Daisy's friends
Yep.
just gone. And I don't know, you got some similarities to the first, there's no drive-in a tornado goes through, but there is a rodeo scene and then later a movie theater at the end. To me, it really felt like they were setting up that Daisy Edgar Jones's character was going to be Helen Hunt's daughter in this film. They're dressed very
Mm.
similarly. There's that barn dinner scene, where they're going, getting some food after some bad
Mm.
twisters. It's like it just felt like that's what they were going for, and maybe they didn't get Helen Hunt, and then they just kept. I don't know. Like it's weird because like they exist in this world because they have
Mm.
Dorothy, they have the tech. They show it in the first beginning, and then later they have the Oz references with the trucks. So
Mm.
Dorothy, in what they did in '96, exists, but they don't really talk about them or even like, oh, my hero, Bill Paxton. It's just like, nope, it's
Mm.
and maybe it was just because it was like it would be too sad, to have Helen Hunt there without like Bill Paxton and Philip Seymour
Mm.
Hoffman and
Yeah.
and those folks like, oh, you have one and not mention the others and what happened to them. Maybe that's what they decided with that, but I don't know. I think they could have at least tied it in. I always complain where it's like, oh, Easter egg, Easter egg. It's like I feel like there could have been a little more connective tissue between
Mm.
the two films. But I know you saw it too, Kyle. What do you think of Twisters?
I thought it had some good action sequences. I liked the visual landscapes and almost paying homage to like these flyover states that a lot of people don't really like love or really think about when you think about like America, but like that's those shots, the drone shots over top are really, really cool. Um, I thought there was some majorly cheesy dialogue, and I like Daisy. What is it? Ridley Jones? Is that her
Or
name?
Edgar Jones.
Edgar
Daisy
Jones.
Ridley is Star
Yeah, yeah.
Wars. Yeah.
Daisy Edgar Jones. Her acting is great, but her accent was
Mm.
all over the place. It was all over the place. I'm pretty sure you're Irish or something,
Can
English
we also
here.
talk about like how Glenn Powell, like, his character was like, ah, city girl, like, where are you from, city girl? Like, because
Yeah,
she says New York, but it's like she clearly has an accent
yeah,
that's like from, the Midwest or something, or she's
yeah,
trying for that. So it's
yeah,
like the whole time he's like confused. Wait, you're not from the city? You're not a city girl? You're
yeah,
from Oklahoma? It's like, yeah, like, what do
yeah.
you think? Oh
And
boy.
the other thing is like she's supposed to be like the scientist, right? And she's like very, straight-laced and trying to figure out all these things. How am I going to save these people? How am I going to do that? And then we get this like she's already got chemistry with Glenn Powell. It's
Yep.
already happened. Then we did this like weird rom-com montage where she's like, "Oh, I'm just like doing this stuff and just like and I'm like, this is not this character. Then why are you forcing her to do this? Like this is so silly. It's like they already had chemistry. You don't need to have them get chemistry. They're already there. Like so that was just was just like weird turn for me.
They didn't kiss though, so I don't know how
I
romantic they are. So
I know. But then also the other thing, I thought it was hilarious. Literally, Glenn Powell's character shows up everywhere.
yeah,
Everywhere. And Daisy Edgar Jones like and he's in the barn. She turns around and then not acting like it's not weird that he's
Yeah.
just
it just showed up.
yeah, he's everywhere, dude. He's everywhere.
Hmm.
But it was fun. It was silly. I think the original is probably better in my mind, but
Yeah, there's something about it. You can't like recapture that charm. But I mean, this was
yeah.
definitely a fun
Yeah.
blockbuster to see in the theater, and have that experience, with popcorn and soda. But like, yeah, it's not reinventing anything. It's just a
Yeah.
fun little movie. Um, all right, Kyle, you saw another movie. We actually saw this one together a while ago, last
Yeah.
month. But what do you remember about the Bikeriders?
Bikeriders. You know what? All I have to say about this movie is like it's perfectly fine. Like it's a decent movie. I think of like a TNT movie on like a Saturday or Sunday. Like that's where I would put this. I think Tom Hardy was good. I thought all the acting was good. I really like Jodie Comer. She made me feel like I was like back home with her accent. I'm like, this is like,
There was a lot of talk about that accent, and people are like, is this real? Like, is this over the top? But like, then they play
No.
it, and it's like
Yeah.
it matches the real person that they based it off of.
Yeah, yeah. It's that Midwest vibe. So, yeah, I mean, it was perfectly fine. The whole thing is like there's no real, and I think we've talked about this before, but there was no real story to it. It's like we just got thrown in this like slice of life, like this is how it was with this gang, and then it just went to crap, and then here's some end credits, and here's what they actually look like in real life. It was just so odd. It's just like almost
It's a little
like
slice
a
of life, kind
fake
of like.
documentary. Yeah, it was just very interesting that there wasn't some real concrete story of like, how this
Well,
gang
yeah,
affected each of them or
it's interesting
whatnot.
because it's inspired by a photo book of the
Yeah.
same name, and we get this interviewer interviewing Jodie Comer's character, which I guess there is some interviews mixed in with the
Mm-hmm.
photos, but like. I'm sure a lot of it was, taking liberties about this
Mm-hmm.
motorcycle club, a fictionalized version of another one. Like it's very,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely picturesque. I mean, you see the photos at the end and how it inspired the cinematography, and it's like, yeah, okay, I could see the
Mm-hmm.
comparisons. And as you said, Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer, all really good cast. I want even more from the ensemble. You got Michael Shannon in the ensemble, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get enough of him. But yeah, it's just
Like this
it's
could have been
fine. Yeah.
something, yeah, this could have been something more. Like this could have been more of an Oscar-y type movie, but it doesn't feel like that. Like
Yeah.
it's not at that level. But it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's interesting. It came out in theaters June 21st. It's gonna be on Peacock on let's see, August 9th. So
Wow.
just a few days from now.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you want to check that film out, The Bikeriders. John, just a little bit of time here to finish this off. What do you got for us? I know we did movies, we did TV. You got a game, right?
Yep, I got a game. So the game I'm looking at is called Backpack Hero. It's been something that I've been playing on my own as well as streaming a whole bunch, so I'll make sure that there's a playlist for you in the show notes somewhere. But basically, this is a small little turn-based fighting game where you use the items in your backpack to fight the enemies in front of you. And then after you defeat them, you get the choice to take certain items and you can kind of mix and match what you have in your bag and use that to, move on to the next fight. So you start off with a relatively small backpack with a couple items in it. And as you progress, it gets, you can increase the size of your backpack. You can get more items. The items interact with each other in certain ways. So you might get a bow and arrow that, you use the bow, which shoots the arrows, which are separate items, and depending on how many empty spaces are next to the arrows, you get more damage, or you might get an interaction where one item causes all the items you've used so far this turn to reset so you can use them again, or stuff like that. So they all have very weird interactions with each other. You can have certain items that are cursed, that maybe they have to be touching the edge of the backpack, or they can't be touching a certain type of object and all that. So it's very much a space management as well as a turn-based game. And then on top of that, there's 5 different characters you can play as who all have vastly different play styles. One is kind of just, straight up. The one that's on screen here is someone who gets a lot of different pockets. And so items can interact with other items. You have one that is magic based, one that's kind of like almost electric circuits, one that has pets, which each have their own backpack. So it's very intricate, and it kind of itches that little part of my brain that it's both a little bit of a fighting game and a puzzle game. So it's pretty cool, and I've really been enjoying it. I think it came out on PC and on the Switch and maybe PlayStation. I'm not 100% sure on PlayStation, but it definitely came out on the Switch. So definitely one to pick up if you're into that kind of little turn-based battle and stuff like that. And you have all these different things, and then you have different types of runs you can do where maybe you have one where the backpack won't grow any bigger, so you're stuck with the starting backpack, or every turn you have to place a certain item in a different slot, and you can't put it in the same spot twice. So it constantly forces you to be reorganizing everything in your bag and all that. So it's very interesting, very, very it tickles that part of my brain, like I said, that likes these kind of puzzles. So pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. If you have a playlist, we'll add into the show notes so people can get a sense of how it plays out from your Twitch streams. Cool. All right, we did it. That's all we got. We covered the summer. Movies, television, games. Nothing else came out this summer. Nothing to worry about. Now, if there's a few other things going on, and we'll talk about it when we come back in August. See, we're going to finish up House of the Dragon season 2. We'll talk about that, and then season 3 of Industry starts right after that on HBO, which includes Game of Thrones star Kit Harington this season. So we got House of the Dragon, we got Industry. We'll talk about those in August, and you can find those episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, dualredundancy.com. We are live on Twitch, twitch.tv/dualredundancy, and on YouTube at the same time. And you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Dual Redundancy. I got to thank both you guys for joining me tonight, watching all these movies and shows. John directing the show, putting it up on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. I couldn't do it without you guys. But all right, until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Dual Redundancy. Goodbye, everybody.